Picture this, 1989. Joe Montana and the 49ers came back from a 7-point deficit in the fourth quarter of Super Bowl 23 to defeat the Cincinnati Bengals and hold high the Lombardi Trophy. Communism takes a stab to the heart as the Berlin Wall crumbles to concrete pieces in the name of democracy.
For the first time since 1961, they made a hole in the Berlin Wall.
Environmentalists explode at arguably the worst disaster to happen to the state of Alaska, the Exxon Valdez oil spill. And then you have the tragic events of the student protest at Tiananmen Square. But none of that matters because you just got yourself an NES and a copy of Dynowarz. Take a look at this. Go inside installations and kill viruses and gigantic bacteria. Control a giant Tyrannosaurus mech and beat up other dinosaur mechs. Easy to remember password system. And 5 different weapons that are upgradable. Hot shit! This is the game to own, because nothing's cooler than playing as a mech modeled after a dinosaur, beating up random hunks of scrap. Hell, they even use Z's in places of S's in the title alone. How the hell can they mess this up? Wow, this is just boring. Seriously, this can be advertised as a sleeping agent. So, what is Dynowarz? Well, Dynowarz is not a dumb TV series that aired in 1986, nor is it a generic name for a new metal band if you put the 666 at the end of the title. It's a video game released by a company called Bandai. This was during a generation of great Saturday morning cartoons, such as Transformers, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and G.I. Joe. This was a futile attempt to cash into the era of young kids saying quotes from their favorite TV shows like mantras. And they're almost there as well. If it became more entertaining than listening to your grandmother talk about walking chairs, this would have been an underrated classic. But history is history, and so is this. I mean, you really have to try as hard as you can to make something less extreme as boring as this. So, what are we waiting for? Let's dive into this seething pile of boring, shall we? Alright, I don't remember the story real well, but I think it goes like this. There's this evil scientist guy called Dr. Proteus or Protonius or something, and he's infecting the planet of Spondylus with a deadly virus. In order to keep his plan in motion, he's built an army of deadly Dinobots to thwart your attempt to disrupt his plans. Your job is to go to 7 different sections of the planet using a Dynamech, then head straight for the main terminals in person, and kill these gooseberry-looking viruses here to successfully save the planet. Now, this may sound exciting here, but it's not, really. If you play this game, you're not going to feel a single pint of adrenaline. Everything here is so slow and droning. It's like it's designed as a secret sleeping agent to get kids into bed earlier. Atlas started the game. He started as this pilot navigating through the hazards of this laboratory. After jumping over rows of spikes, fighting these things, and avoiding deadly mines, he finally gets out of his way to go to his mech. Well, what's the point? Why do you have to play as this pilot first and go through this useless stage just to get to your mech? It makes as much sense as creating the level of going to your car. And think about it, this could be his house. If this is his house, then why is it rolled with spikes and bottomless pits? Why is it armed with mines and killer flying things? Oh, there's so much wrong with this picture. So finally you're on your mech, and as fun as this sounds, controlling this rust bucket is equal to steering an SUV. He's slow, immobile, and difficult to maneuver properly. You'll end up taking all kinds of unnecessary hits because of how damn slow he is. He's slow to the point of cheapness, making simple gaps like these practically leaps of faith. And yes, I know.
Ooh, it's a Big Mac. Of course it's going to be slow. What are you, stupid? Huh?
Well, if you watched as much anime and played as many mech fighting games as I did, you'll know that there are all kinds of fast-moving mechs. So this is unexcusable. What's even worse is that there are enemies out there that outmaneuver you, and you'll end up taking at least one hit from them no matter how hard you try. Take this pterodactyl here. Even with the best weapons, you're going to get hit by this enemy, and you're going to hate this enemy, hate your mech, and hate yourself for playing this. There are also these tiny Dinobots here that try to jump on you. To demonstrate how cheap these enemies are, try going outside and punch a grasshopper while it's jumping. See how hard it is? That's exactly how hard it is to punch these Dinobots. Then they have these blue turrets and mines, which, despite being still, are even harder to hit and destroy than the tiny Dinobots, and spam about 1,000,000 bullets at a time, which is more than your slow mechanical ass can handle. Somehow, both the mines and the shots from the turrets have the ability to push you back a few hundred meters, resulting in cheap deaths. Really, how sadistic do these programs have to be to place a mine right at the edge of the pit? That's just spells cheap. On the mech stages, you're able to carry 4 different weapons: the Launching Fist, the Fireball, the Beam, and last and unfortunately least, the Bomb. When you collect the same power-up, you can upgrade these weapons to be even more powerful, if you can even categorize shooting more shots as being more powerful. The downside of all of this is that when you collect a different weapon, you'll equip the initial weapon, throwing the fully upgraded weapon away. This results in you purposely avoiding other power-ups because you don't want to throw away your old upgraded weapon for some other weak weapon. Sometimes the level is designed in such a way that you have to collect a weapon, even if it's one you don't even want. That is frustrating and annoying. The Launching Fist is, well, exactly what it says. A fist that launches from your arm at the enemy and comes back like a boomerang. The good thing is that it is able to push your enemies back on impact. The downside is that you have to wait for it to come back. Upgrading it increases its range. This is actually the best weapon in the entire game, which is sad once you think about it. The Fireball, unfortunately, isn't exactly what it is. It's just a pea shooter. The good thing about it is that it has unlimited range. The downside is, surprisingly, that you can only fire one at a time. Let me repeat. 1 at a time. That is ridiculous. You should be able to shoot more than one shot at a time. Imagine if Mega Man only shot one at a time. It would be a nightmare. Or what about Gradius? Try only shooting one at a time in that game and see how far you can get. Now, the beam is just like the Fireball, except it's not. It's a laser that's able to drill through enemies. Although, the way it works, I don't see how this is an advantage over the Fireball. Sure, you can hit more than one enemy at a time, but how good is that when, just like the Fireball, you can only fire one at a time? If the laser is just as good as the one in Gradius, that's when I start taking this weapon seriously. But now, this and the Fireball are almost exactly the same.